Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. It's Friday, thank goodness, which means I bring you yet another obscurity in literature. Now, I don't know about you guys, maybe this isn't the most obscure, but I was kind of flabbergasted when this book was released. This is Thor, the Tales of Asgard, and to me, this was like the most definitive Thor run and what really solidified my interest in the character. And it came out a few years ago. I want to say it was like 2009, 2010. Let's see. I don't remember. Oh, it was pretty close. 2009. So yeah, this book, The Tales of Asgard, if you're not aware. Now, originally I saw the cover and I was like, whoa, did they get on Olivier, what is it, Coapel to do like a whole another Thor series? Because I know he did like with Straczynski, I think it was his name. That was a big one before, when they brought Asgard down to Earth and all that. That was a really cool Thor run. But to me, the best Thor comics were always the ones that really leaned into the mythological. I never really cared for the superhero stuff. If I wanted to read superhero stuff, I would read superhero stuff. And I have this, I know I did. I have this distinct feeling that they did like a Walt Simonson covered version. And I want to say it was just like a single issue. Because I remember reading these. And I don't think there was any other republication of this. I know there was one back in the 60s I've read. And I didn't come across that, but it's entirely possible. My cousin growing up, who is, a definitive hardcore comic book collector. He was a hardcore Marvel fan. His name is in quite a few letters pages back in the 80s. I don't know if he signed it with his full name. It's been years since I've even checked a floppy to look at that. I should go look at some of the old omnibus books that might have those. If the X-Men books or later Hulk books have the letters pages, then there's a good chance his name's in there somewhere. Anyway, back on track. So he showed me those books, and we'll talk about Thor and some of the Thor runs, because he was really into Thor, and that was like during the Walt Simonson era and after that. And Thor 400 was one that really resonated with me, and I think I have that in one of the Epic collections somewhere. I know I do, in fact, because I was just flipping through it. Okay, I'm going to have to talk about that a different day. But the best runs on Thor, like I said, are the ones that really leaned into that. And to me, you could tell that Kirby was really into this stuff. Because these started as the backup features in some of the later Thor issues. And they had a bunch of people doing the early Thor issues before Kirby really just decided to go all in on it. And then you got like the whole cosmic scale of stuff, and you have him rolling around with Galactus, and you've got like the High Evolutionary and those dudes. Fun times. Those are my favorite kinds of stories. So like the Jason Aaron run, the Matt Fraction runs, those I love. I love that they just lean into all that stuff. But this is where it really started. And it does have an absolutely gorgeous cover. And this is only a chunk of it. In the back of the book here, you've got this nice I can't even put the whole thing on the screen. It's this massive piece of art. And that's the penciled version. Then we have like the colored one on the other side. And here's, the original two pieces. And then you've got just about everything that shows up throughout these stories. I was going to say, is Mogul on there? Mogul, I think his name was Mogul. I haven't read some of these in a long time, especially the later ones. I read them when they came out, which, as I said, was a good 10 plus years ago. But this is every one of those backup stories. And what makes them even more interesting is that they all got a modern recolorization. This was published as a 6-issue miniseries back in the mid-2000s. And they got a modern, glossy look to it. So way more muted of colors, no more primary bright, 4-color fantasies that you would see. You've got Ymir coming out, Surtur, and the Frost Giants. This is, to me, I love this stuff. I love the whole mythological aspect of comics. They should be larger than life. And when you've got Jack Kirby just going all in on drawing a bunch of cool looking Viking dudes, monsters fighting, dudes with swords and armor, big battles, Ragnarok while we're at it, flying stallions, why not? Why not just let the man roll? And, you know, the way Stan Lee just chews the scenery with his ridiculous verbiage and these kinds of old stories, it is absolutely so appropriate. Oh my God. I just, this is one of those things, you know, if I'm feeling in a crappy mood, this is one of those books I'll always bust off the shelf. And I could just flip to a random page and I'll just start reading. Because that's the thing. These were backup features and they're no more than like 5 or 6 pages for the most part. See, that's it for Surtur the Fire Demon. Before we're on to the next one. And the earlier stories, they're pretty loose. There's no real continuation, or that's not the word I'm thinking of, but serialization, I think. There's no real ongoing sense of serialization here. It's just kind of random stories, but they're fun for what they are. You've got young Thor, for the most part, in these early ones, fighting with storm giants. You've got Heimdall there. You're starting to get into the interesting stuff as you have the quest for the Odin sword and all that happening. If you dig Kirby tech and you dig Kirby armor, and if you want to see guys with lots of absolutely fanciful headwear, this is the book to look for. We don't care about you, Balder. You should die. But again, I know now the internet was very decisive about the recoloring when this book came out. You can go and see those remarks. I did not participate in those. To me, you know, I like the fact that there are the original colored versions available still. If you go with the Omnibus or the Masterworks books, those are all the original colors. The Epic Collections, I believe, still have those as well. But it is just kind of neat, number one, having all these stories in one place. And this is a little bit of an oversized book, too. But also, you know, it's kind of cool to see it given a new glossy coat and a new lease on life, I think. As you get the Warriors 3 gathering, and then up Odin, his various poses. I want to find the part where we get to Ragnarok. I always like that. Come on, I think it got to a point where Kirby was just enjoying coming up with some kind of a new outfit for Odin. I mean, it seems like every time he drew Odin, he was wearing something new anyway, so. These big splash pages just like littering these. Every other issue, I feel like, you know, not only do we get one at the beginning, but then there's usually one in the middle. Harukin on his way to Valhalla. Hell comes to get him. We have Fafnir showing up in here. Monsters galore. Funky warriors. And then we're getting into like just some pure Kirbiness as we get into the story of Mogul. And that kind of is the tail end. And by this point, when we start getting into the story of Mogul, you're really getting into an ongoing serialization. And this is all in the past. This isn't even like the current modern stuff at the time. But I gotta say, if you're ever interested, if you have any interest in the mythology, absolutely these are a fun set of books to look for. Like I said, they were originally a bunch of single issue miniseries, but one of the cool things in the back of this, and it's just like we're filling up extra space, I guess because they had the extra pages, is they took the original Thor story from Journey into Mystery 83 here, as you can see, and went and recolored that as well. I've never been a big fan of that early stuff. It's somewhat simplistic. Never been a big fan of Donald Blake. And then we have a whole section. Now, I loved the whole handbook of the Marvel Universe stuff as a kid. Had a ton of those. We got a map of Asgard here. It's totally out of date. I like some of the newer ones. You can see in like the Jason Aaron run. But we've got a whole spread of the various gods and goddesses, as well as most of the major players and pure Simonson artwork. Now, I used to own a bunch of Thor Omnibuy but sadly they are not on my shelves anymore. I don't know why I got rid of them now. I think they were going for stupid prices at the time, and I figured, haha, okay, I'm vindicated. Tales of Asgard, 1984. I totally remember seeing this. My cousin had it, remember reading through it, dug that cover, always been a fantasy guy, as you can tell by this channel, and so this really resonated with me, and was one of those things that got me interested in wanting to go back and read more of Thor. You got a nice breakdown here of all the various characters that show up on there. Like I said, this is just a complete package. One of my favorite books, honestly. My other Thor books will come and go, but this one has stayed its place upon my shelves, and I don't see it really going anywhere. It's, like I said, one of those kind of comfort books you can pull off, take a look through anytime. And I mean, I was even flipping through online, looking around. You can still find copies of this for reasonable prices. So if you're interested, I do suggest take a look at it. It's Kirby and Lee at their prime, firing on all cylinders, just throwing out big, grandiose tales the way mythology should be. So if you're even remotely interested, if you haven't seen these stories before, I do suggest take a look at this book, or if you want them in a more original condition, go hunt down those big Thor omnibus or masterwork books, because they will have those in there as well, starting with issue 97. So, with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.